Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Bunker Podcast. Back again for another episode, and we are here today, glad and happy to be announced that we are joined by Sheffield recording artist MC. It is Surtees. How are you doing, sir?
Chef City in the building. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, my friend. It is our pleasure. We've obviously been talking for a little while, talking for the last couple of hours, but we finally made it happen, and we're here, we're inside, we're in the building. Let's dive straight into it then. Let's start with the obviously you're probably going to have listeners tuning into this who are aware of your music and a bit of your backstory already, but for the new fans, for the people who are going to be tuning into you for the first time, what's the backstory and what was life like for you growing up, I guess?
Well, yeah, where do you want to start? So, yeah, obviously, South Yorkshire born artist, Sheffield. I think I started making music, I'm going to say, earliest days, 11 years old.
That's an early start,
yeah,
I would say.
Very early start, yeah. So, I think, how did it start? So, yeah, when I was younger, we used to go to this park, right? And back in the day, everyone used to have bars. You know what I mean? Everyone, there's not many bars about nowadays, but back in the day when we were kids, yeah, everyone had bars, innit?
There's a higher level of competition, is what you're saying. Even when you were like kids, just chilling in the park. Yeah.
It's like back in them days, you know what I mean? It was like phones at you. You know what I mean? Well, these times are about. So I'm gonna say I must have been about 11 or 12. And I remember a video circulating a few years ago, but I got deleted, which I wish I kept now because it's some, you know what I mean? It's like it's just nostalgia. Me, a little blonde head, me talking like I am the KNIG, something like that. You know?
I mean, there's so many lost tapes like that.
Yeah, literally. You know? Like, you know what I mean? At one point, I was like, yeah, get them away cringing now. I wish I would have kept them in it, but yeah. So I think about 11, 12 years old. Used to everyone, you know what I mean? Bare people about around park and that, and I remember seeing like some elders spitting, like some guys back then spitting, and everyone's gassing them up, everyone's circling them and that, and these guys are going in. Do you know what I mean? These guys are like legends in ends, innit? And I thought, I want to try that. So I don't know why. I just tried it, innit? Do you know what I mean? I started freestyling, I was good at it.
But it was those older guys seeing them doing what they were doing that sort of sparked that inspiration. Who were some of the people that you were coming up around, I guess, and what influence did they have on you that sort of rubbed off on you, I guess?
So yeah, when I was coming up, obviously back then, we had like Bebo, MySpace, there were Facebook and that. Obviously you had YouTube, but YouTube weren't like what it is now. You know, it's all like monetized and people are just getting a million views left, right, and centre. But yeah, you had like people like. It used to be called Killer K back in the day, but it's called Cannon now.
I know Cannon,
yeah. Cannon, big up Cannon.
With like Medley and that kind of crew.
Yeah.
Sure. We had Medley through here, quite a while ago.
Yeah.
I'm aware of Cannon, yeah. He was locked up for a while, wasn't he? And like came back out and had a bit of a buzz again, and you know, sort of put on for the Sheffield scene.
Yeah, I did. I linked up with him. I won a challenge that he did. Coming back a bit now, probably like a few years ago, something like that. I used to have living back on Woodhouse then, but I won a challenge and I linked up with him at studio, but yeah, for like certain reasons, obviously we couldn't release set things and whatever, but we'll not talk about that.
No, but nevertheless, it must have been quite an experience for a young guy such as yourself coming up to sort of have that experience and have that studio time with someone who's a bit more established, who's got a bit more reputation, you know?
Definitely. I mean, Cannon's always been hard, like Cannon. Obviously I known him from being Killer K. There are a few other names down there, but then obviously when I was coming up, you had people like, you had your K-Dots, you had like Milks, you had NFS, do you know what I mean? You had Youth Camp, you had Shinobi, you had your Coco, Rems, so you had all them type of people. Back in the day though, like it were Bluetooth in tunes, you know what I mean? No Spotify, anything like that. They were just, you know what I mean, your infrared or Bluetooth in tunes.
BlackBerry BBM messages.
Yeah, literally. Like, don't know, if you had an iPhone 3 back then, do you know what I mean? You were guacked, but yeah, trust me. But yeah, so it's like from there, obviously, just kind of took off from there. I was shooting like little, you know what I mean, dead videos in a bedroom. Like my big brother were filming me on camera, like my nanan's old yard, well, nanan's current yard, sorry, not like what yard that we used to live in. And yeah, my brother's like filming me. I'm in bedroom. I've got like blonde hair, sounding squeakies. You know what I mean? But yeah, then from there, yeah, kind of. I had something like everyone was like, you're good at this. Do you know what I mean? You're good at this.
Because obviously it sounds as though you were just sort of like messing about, having fun with it.
Yeah.
And when was that moment where you maybe realised like, oh, maybe I am maybe a little bit better than some of the other people around me, and maybe I can actually do this properly and make something work for myself, I guess?
I think must have been around. So through school, I used to just get like bits of bare people coming up to me at school, like, because I used to write, like in school, I used to write bars all the time. Doing my GCSEs, I was writing bars and that, do you know what I mean? Or in my lessons, I'm writing bars. On bus up way to school, I'm writing bars.
It sounds like a real obsession at that time.
Yeah, like, well, like you know what I mean? It's just like, I'm going to be a rapper. I remember telling my mum one time that, Mum, I'm going to be a rapper. Do you know what I mean? And she was like, I'd rather you not. Do you know what I mean?
We know how our parents react. They've got our best interests at heart. But I know what you mean. Yeah, you got to pursue your dreams, man.
But yeah, I think about 16 years old. Kind of like, I think when did I get back into it? I think like I've done some like little like mock videos and that on Facebook back in the day. And my older brother, so my big brother Joe, he'd set up he had a sound system at the time, innit? Called Chromatic Audio, and he shouted me. He seen a video like on Facebook of me, and he shouted me, and he goes, "If you want to do that serious, like, do you know what I mean? I've got a sound system. Yeah, do you know what I mean? You could MC for me. Yeah, I mean, you could be about so alright, cool, whatever." So I didn't really see my big brother that much, and then he kind of brought me into this scene where like it's a bit more like this way. It's kind of like I got to experience the part of music what people nowadays don't get to see. So that whole, even though we're talking modern day times, we're talking like 10 years ago, but we're like, you know what I mean, where there's jungle still about, you know what I mean, garage raves, you know what I mean, all this type of underground stuff. So he had
especially in Sheffield, there's like a hotbed for all of that stuff.
Yeah, trust me, like I think he had a lock-up on Sydney Street, so next to Old Niche.
Near Sydney Matilda, yeah.
Yeah. So across the road from Sydney Matilda, like bang next to Old Niche, and he had a lock-up there, and he did some like dingy room, and like, you know what I mean, and he had a mic there, and you know what I mean, and I just go around.
It'd almost be inappropriate if it wasn't that starting out. You got to start out in these sort of like urban underground kind of spots, haven't you?
Literally, trust me, and yeah, just went from there, and then like, you know what I mean, big up him. He started doing his own events and stuff and on nights, and then I think about 16 years old I did my first ever set. I think it was at what were it called? South Seas Brew Mill.
Yeah.
And like my brother, he had a night on there with his sound system, and he got me on a set there. Obviously, I'm licked off. I'm 16 years old.
I bet you were so like to get a positive like crowd reaction from that. I bet that was. Like a young man's like ego, I imagine that kind of, you know, I bet it was good for that.
Yeah,
it boosted your confidence.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, listening back, probably like if I looked at it now, I'd be like, that's, can we swear on this?
Of course.
Yeah, I'm like, that's probably shit, you know what I mean? Like, however, they just...
You're the second person who's asked that, so I've always said, like, we are not big enough to worry about getting demonetised. Say what you like, sir. But yeah, carry on.
And I think if I would have looked back on it now, I'd be like, shit, what are you doing? But... I think everyone just thought I'd be cute and that, do you know what I mean? Like just some little kid that's just shelling bars and that. I remember, if I remember right, I don't know if it was the first one or the second one, first time I ever met TD.
Oh, yeah.
TD, he's a bit younger than me, and TD pulled up as well. TD did like a baseline set there, and that. It was sick, and I was like, I'm 16 years old and I'm like doing this. And then that's when it kind of like shaped me, and I was like, right, this is me. Do you know what I mean?
Like build that persona, that identity in the music.
Yeah, it's like I belong here. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm meant to come out here and entertain, and do you know what I mean?
For sure, man. Yeah, it gave you that sort of validation that you were on the right track.
From being a young age as well. I feel like, you know, you can see them young ballers, them young footballers, and that. It's like it's my career. This
sounds like it was also as much as you had that sort of raw natural talent. Oftentimes that's kind of only half of the puzzle in a way. There's certain people who've got all the talent in the world but don't have the platform or the right people around you. It sounds like you had, you know, with the access to the studio, people putting you on shows, like you did have like the right people around you that sort of enabled you to flourish in that environment, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Very grateful, you know what I mean, for.
Okay, on to, let's start talking about the music that you've got released already then, the sort of online, you know, platform and presence you've built for yourself. And just sort of the sort of stylistics, let's go into that a little bit. So your single London and your latest release Doghouse, the beat comprises of a lot of guitars, both electric and acoustic. And we were talking about this a little bit off camera, but how important is that? Is it to you sort of capturing that live instrumentation element for you and your music, I suppose?
I mean, for me, like when I'm sat where, obviously, my producer, so at the minute it's, obviously got Sissy Green, old tight Sissy Green, shout out Sissy Green.
Yeah, I've met Sissy. Sissy's a great guy. Hopefully we can get him through here at some point, but yeah, go on.
And when I'm sat with Damo or anything like that, prod by Damien, big up Damo as well, but I will be sat in a studio session, and for me, I appreciate music, and I like to hear a lot of music nowadays where it's, you can tell that things, you know what I mean, you can tell that things are made like on a computer, or you can tell that things are like, do you know what I mean? Me, I like to hear like that. I don't know that, you know what I mean. I like the instrumentation. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Like exactly that. Like when it comes to guitars, things like that. Certain instruments, there's certain instruments that I like, and for me, I'm not a producer. Everyone's like, when I sit with Sissy Green or whatever, they'll say you should get into producing. But obviously, I spend a lot of my time obviously making, like, writing music, and I ain't got enough time to get into producing. But I will sit there when we're composing a track, and I'll sit there and I'll go, right, I want this, I want that, do you know what I mean? And I want it to sound like this, and EQ that, and you know what I mean, change that to that, put that in that key, for example, you know what I mean? So it's very hands-on when it comes to me making my music and what I want, and very specific.
Well, that is quite refreshing. You know, a lot of guys out here are just like, put the beat on and let me go.
Yeah.
Obviously that works. Sometimes people like Juice WRLD, for example, was able to just like put a beat on, do a song, and then run it back, and then do a completely different version of the same song. And that's a unique talent in and of itself. But I do find it, I must admit, I do find it refreshing, and I prefer it when I meet artists who are hands-on that level and care about the sort of minute kind of specifics of everything that goes into making a track, not just the lyrics or the delivery or whatever, you know?
I can't release shit, do you know what I mean? Like, well, that's why people are like, I'll be sat on tracks. Obviously, I had a little break and that, and I'll be sat on tracks, and people are like, oh, you should bring that, you should... But there's like certain things, like certain elements, there's something about it that I don't like, and I take it very serious. Like, my music, like, it's like I was good at art as a kid, right?
For sure.
And I was good at painting, and I used to have this habit as a kid when I used to paint and draw a picture or whatever. I'd not be happy, like get halfway through a project or halfway through a painting or a drawing, and then I'd scrap it, but I'm not happy with it.
Is that sort of like perfectionist sort
Definitely.
of element there?
Yeah.
And it obviously like hyper amplifies itself when you're in the studio making your music, you're constructing these tracks.
Definitely that, because it's like when I was younger, I might paint and draw 40 pictures, but there might only be 3 that comes out of that. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I'm happy with that.
Well, we've all, I think, because, you know, even doing like, you know, podcasts and this kind of stuff, like you've got to be kind of selective with what you put out, and people are going to see that, and you know, it's sort of, if the first thing that someone sees of you it's not your best work, or it's not something you're happy with, then they're going to sort of it compounds to this like reputation. So you want people to think of, oh, Surtees, like this guy's, you know, putting out proper, high quality music rather than just like whatever.
But I met music for me, and like my music is, I don't know, like I take it very serious. Do you know what I mean? So
there's certainly a personal passion project. With you. You're not just one of these people who puts out music to gain like likes and followers. Obviously, if that comes, that's great. But you try to hold on to that initial reason of why you started to do it in the first place. You
know what I mean? It'll be listened to in 100 years' time. Do you know what I mean? 200 years' time. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, Surtees.
So like that idea of legacy.
Yeah, definitely legacy. Like legacy for me. That's So important.
You want people to like. So do you? How often, or not how often, but in what ways? I guess do you? There's a bit of going kind of off script, not tangent here, but we got to go with it. How do you want people to sort of perceive you in years to come? I suppose maybe even after you're dead and buried, gone. I guess like what do you want the sort of lasting impression of people to be of you? I suppose
that I will never like anyone else. Do you know what I mean? Now we're like, do you know what I mean?
It's like uniqueness.
Yeah, definitely. Always have my own lane, and like, you know what I mean. I'm not being big-headed about that, but I'll put time into my craft. You know what I mean? I'm like very passionate about what I do, and I'll be honest. I don't think, especially in my area and where I'm from, I don't think there's many artists that can do what I do, and that's no disrespect, but it's just because how I every day, like, you know, like Ronaldo. Yeah, Ronaldo trained every day to be who he is. Do you know what I mean? And when it comes to music, even though I'm not releasing music, like every day I'm training, and it might not be now, it might be 100 years later, but do you know what I mean? There will be files of me.
You literally think about it in the context of that big picture, and
literally,
sort of grand image.
like literally.
There's not a lot of people who have that kind of foresight. Onto that idea of like legacy. I think I mentioned it again just off camera before this interview here. We were talking about Lowski from Harlem Spartans. He did an interview recently, just been released after 5 years or whatever, been released from jail, and he did his first interview coming out, and I thought it was absolutely fascinating. He was talking about the similar topic to what you touched on, the idea of legacy and longevity. He was saying about when he was 18, 19, first coming out, he was very much in that mindset of he'll get a check from his label or from a show or whatever it might have been, and he just blew through it. He just spent it because he thought, I'll just get another one and another one. But the reality is life doesn't work like that. You can't do this forever. You've got to capitalise on the momentum while you can, while the moment's here. So yeah, it seems as though you're very aware of that idea of, everything that you put out, you've got to be happy with. You've got to think, okay, what will people think about this in 10, 20 years, and how is it going to be looked back on? And also, just sort of like capitalising on that moment, I guess. Because obviously there would have been a time when you were a young artist just coming out. Maybe that wasn't always there, but what was that moment for you when you realised that, I guess?
When I started,
when you realised that you had to sort of make every song, every EP, every album count, I guess, and really capitalise with getting booked for shows, and really capitalise on that moment, I guess.
I mean, it cause stems from when I started paying for fucking studio time, because that's expensive. People who don't make music, they won't understand how much it costs.
That's
like,
the big
expense,
what I mean? Isn't it, really?
My first ever EP, obviously, like, this is going back a bit now. First ever EP called Bottled Up. It's not about anymore, but that was my first ever project that I released. That cost me, that cost me bread. And I recorded it at a time with Tom Mates Beats and TD, actually. My brother's building Dried Works. And it's like when you're going to studio sessions, and it's like, I'm not trying to come to studio. You can ask anyone that I've been in studio with, or ask any engineer. When I go to studio, I mean business. Like, I'm going into studio. If I'm paying for studio, it's like, right, I've got X amount of hours. I need to do something in X amount of hours. Do you know what I mean? So I was turning up to there, and it's like, right. But yeah, it gets expensive, and there's that element as well where it's like, I can't afford
So you needed to make it. It was out of necessity. You needed to make it sustainable for yourself.
Definitely, it's like, right, I can't keep, because otherwise it gets jarring. It's like, you go shoot. Don't get me wrong, you won't hit it every time. You won't get every time you pay for studio or whatever. You won't get that every time. But it gets a bit dread when you're coming out and you're not happy with what you've come out with, and it's like you get your recording back, you're going home, and then you're listening like, I don't like that.
I wish I'd put more into session. But then you set up your own studio, and again, a little bit of a tangent, but I imagine having that workspace, that place that you can go to just sort of like tap in whenever you want to. I imagine that like made your productivity just skyrocket through the roof.
Yeah, definitely. Like, having my own studio spot helped, but then it gets to a point where it's like, I think every artist will get to this level at some point. I'm not sure, it might just be me. I know I've listened to other people where they've said the same thing, but you see, like, there's stages where, like, especially when you're coming up from being an MC, rapper, whatever, you've got bag of bars for days. Like, do you know what I mean? You start off at a level where you've got bag of bars for days and you can just shell, and you're writing bars constantly, you know what I mean? You're memorising them, and then you become a songwriter, which is it's a completely different ballgame. Like, you know what I mean? You're not just writing.
You're the first person that's actually differentiated that difference. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, it's like you don't write just pointless bars anymore. Then, you know what I mean? You start investing your time a bit more wisely because you're not just writing bars anymore. So me, for example, I've got different structures to how I write. So I'll try to write on a daily basis. Like, so I'll leave a song right, or if I've got a set coming up, if I'm on a D&B set, or if I'm on a garage set, I'll give myself a good month prior in advance where I'd like, right, what 16s have I got? What, you know what I mean? Let me go back through my old things. Let me memorise them. Let me make sure I've got them there. Let me make sure I've got an hour set free, what I can memorise and I don't need, you know what I mean? I've got full confidence that if I jump on this garage set or drum and bass set, whatever, however long it is, that I can do it. And then you'll have your times where it's like, right, I'm at home and I'll write songs. So it's like, I'll find a beat on YouTube, for example, and I'll get, like, you know what I mean? I'll listen to the beat, I'll write a tune out to that beat, and then we'll go to studio. Right, I've got this, need it in this key, this is what we're doing. And then we'll literally not copy the beat, but we'll make something in the same key, and then, do you know what I mean? We'll do that. Now, there's a big difference between songwriting and writing bars. Now, and there's no point just writing for the sake of writing, because it's just jarring.
And also the content that you'll come out with will be a little bit more hollow, I guess. You want something a bit more substantial.
Exactly that. And you hear it a lot nowadays. You can just tell when, like, someone's released a song or they've paid for a feature, you know what I mean? You'll hear fucking My Man with My Man, and it's just like, verses are just, there's no depth to them. It's just literally, you can tell where one label's just gone, you know what I mean? They've funded the full thing. They've got fucking him, paid for him. And then, do you know what I mean? They just put it together. Mixes are off. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, he's sent a fucking verse from Dubai. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, yeah.
Yeah, you want to be, and it's the fact that you can hear people who've done that you go, oh, that's not what I want to get across. I want something that sounds a bit more professional. I suppose it feeds into that idea of what I was going to touch on to next, and something you mentioned before about, you know, there's no other artist in Sheffield that can do what you do, because you come with that, you know, with that garage influence, which I'll touch on a bit further in a moment, but you don't hear, obviously, that with traditional sort of old school garage, it's like a little 8-bar, it's a little 16-bar, like it's, you know, it's fun, and I really respect anyone who does that kind of thing, but obviously the grime scene came on. You had people like Kano and Skepta who had a bit more content to what they were doing. You seem to have found a really nice marriage of those two ideas, because you flow over the garage style that, like, you come with songs that are about, you know, like romance, heartache, you know, and obviously the sort of more street aspect where you're telling stories and that kind of thing. Like, you know, it is lyrically, it's got a bit more depth to it. It's a bit more evolved, but you stay true to that garage roots. That's a really good combination.
It's not that, like, mic check 1 2 stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Like, I do respect people who do that. There's only so far you can go with it.
I found that as well. Like, especially when I did my D&B sets. So before me becoming, obviously, what I am now, like, I do a lot of garage D&B sets, and I jump on, like, various sets with different D&B artists, and these were them type of D&B artists that were just like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't have a fucking clue what they're saying and that. And then I remember a few times that I'd jump on, so I'd spit half time on D&B, and a lot of people, they'll listen to drum and bass, right, and they'll think, that's too fast. Do you know what I mean? Whereas it's not, like, you can actually, you know what I mean? You can have a rap flow on D&B, you just spit half time and slow. And it's actually quite easy. It's just, you got to know what you're listening out for and know what pockets to catch. And that's
kind of the MF Doom kind of offbeat flow type.
Yeah, it's not even offbeat. It's just like, so a good example, why I looked up to
different time signatures, like experimenting, messing about with that kind of stuff.
But DRS guy from Manchester, if people like, a lot of people should know who DRS is if they're into drum and bass. You know what I mean?
Big, for sure, yeah,
big guy from Manny. Yeah,
a bit of a northern legend.
Yeah, definitely. And I looked up to him, like, when I started jumping on D&B, and like, how were you doing it? He did that same thing. And I'd basically, so my rap tunes, I'd jump on a mic at a rave, and I'd spit a 16 bar that I'd done as a rap tune. But because the rave and the crowd could understand what I was saying, and it was slowed down, and the bars were sick, they were like, I used to get people coming to me like, it's mad, I heard every lyric that you spat, and like your bars and your wordplay is mad, like, do you know what I mean? Whereas you get mad, like, it's like, do you know what I mean? Like,
so you actually want people to listen to what you're saying, yeah. Even if it means going at that half tempo, so if you can get across what you're trying to say a bit more, you'd rather do that than...
I can go fast on DB. I like, you know what I mean? You got to adapt nowadays, like, you know what I mean?
But it's more of a, you see it as more of a lyrical exercise than maybe what you'd necessarily put out yourself, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, it's like, when I jump on a set, like when I jump on a set, like, I'm a right mic hog. Like, you know, when I jump on a set, like, you know, it's my mic, you know what I mean?
You kind of got to be like that a little bit. Rap's a competitive game at the end of the day.
But when I jump on a set, it's like I'm shelling everyone, do you know what I mean? It's like, there's no, that I'm shelling everyone. That's my mentality, man.
Yeah, man, that's the kind of derives from, like, garage and the sort of pirate radio culture, where it's like you've got 8 guys in a room, you can pass the mic, and the next guy might say like your verse is shit and you're a dickhead, and then the next time that mic comes round, you've got to say something. Like, you've still got that kind of old school mindset where it's really competitive.
As soon as you grip mic,
lost on a lot of guys these days, for real, man.
As soon as you grip that short, it's like, as soon as you've got that opportunity, like, to, because it's like, you never know, like, I've been there, like, night before, I've got a phone call, and it's like, someone's dropped out of this thing, can you know what I mean, can you turn up tomorrow, and do you know what I mean, you've got to be like, yes, do you know what I mean, and it's, and then when you turn up, it's like, no preparation, do you know what I mean, you've got to be prepared, and it's like, when you get them opportunities, that's what makes you stand out, when you can just turn up and just do your thing. You know what I mean? It sets you aside from...
Yeah, man. It's getting into the routine of, like, that being the mindset every time.
You got to be hungry, you got to want it.
Back onto that, the sort of garage thing. Your single Truth, like the garage influence shines all through that. You can hear, you know, the sort of influence of JK, AJ Tracy, people like that. Like, how much did the early 2000s garage influence your style? I remember you mentioned your dad was a garage DJ back in the day. So, I don't know, tell me more about those, tell me more about those roots, I guess, and the sort of foundation of that, and how that helped you build your style and mould the whole sort of aura off the back of that, I guess.
So obviously when I was coming up, I was 26, born in 1998, so when I was coming up, my earliest memories, it's like, you're talking, these times I'm about 3, 4, so that's what, 2000, about 2002, 2003, so that, you know what I mean, we, like, back in the day, obviously we come from the rough council estate, you know what I mean, all your family live on the same road, you know what I mean, your nan's next door, you got your auntie over at road, you know what I mean, if there's just youths about everywhere. But when I was a kid, used to come, like, my dad was a speed garage DJ, back then obviously at Niche and stuff, that was like, they used to go, like, my mum and dad used to go out to Niche, and then they'd leave me and my brother at my nan's, do you know what I mean, and they go on a weekend bender or whatever.
Hey, who says having kids has to stop you from having a good time, eh?
But yeah, I mean, my dad used to have some Pioneer decks, vinyl set up in living room. There's a picture of me. I need to find it. If I find it, I'll send it to you. But there's a picture of me like with his decks. I've got headphones on. I used to break his needles on them all the time, innit?
Do you know? You really know what you were doing.
But he were a speed garage DJ, and I just always had like. So when they used to lock us away, well, not lock us away, do you know what I mean? But like shut us away upstairs in bed. They used to go obviously do, like, you know what I mean? Like, don't know what they were doing down there, but I've got an idea. Do you get me?
Dude,
but like,
you don't want to know.
Yeah, trust me. I say how it is when you're an adult, but
you don't need to ask no questions.
When
fun, man.
There's bare people downstairs and that, and they've got music on and that. I used to get, like, I remember one time I got out of my room and that, gone downstairs. They've got like house and garage on there, all in kitchen and that, piffing, doing whatever they're doing, and I've put headphones on, I'm bouncing about like.
So you were literally exposed to it from like day one.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, I imagine like that's when it's in your blood like that. you know, it's obviously gonna shine through when you start doing music yourself.
She had like tunes like So Solid Crew, 21 Seconds to Go, Three of a Kind, Baby Cakes, and then you know what I mean. My auntie used to love that rhythm. I'm telling you.
Yeah, man. No, that was the times. It was a lot more. It was a lot more organic. It was a lot more authentic than maybe it is nowadays, for sure.
You had Corsa Bees and Vauxhall Cavaliers, man.
So I think having that idea of like, you know, like being on the council estate, like people with, they didn't really have anything else to do, so I might as well, like, you know, make some funky rhythms that you know, gets the mandem on the block hyped.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about your latest single, Doghouse.
Yeah.
So you sort of express a different side of your persona a little bit on that song. I've described it here as kind of a cheeky chappy. I guess one might say, in that your subject matter in that song, it revolves around like girls, in particular a specific relationship you went through and experiences and lessons you learned from that or whatever. But yeah, what made you want to vent so openly and honestly about that relationship in the song? And what on a broader scale, I guess, was it a conscious decision on your part to appeal to a broader female demographic with that one?
I think it was just like one of them, like, I'm in studio, we're making so me, Chris and Soph, Sissy Green and Soph, we're making started making an 80s tape, yeah. And we were like
That's very outside of the box.
Yeah, that's a different story, but yeah, we started cooking this tune up. I can't remember how it come about, but we started making this beat, and I was saying to Chris, like, yeah, put this type of guitar in it, a bit like what did I say? Coming like Joy Division or something like that. In fact, no, that might have been a punk song. I can't remember anyway. We ended up making this beat, and Chris has obviously put the guitar in it, and like, you know what I mean? And we ended up recording on it. Like I've written this, written this hook. I've sung the hook, and then I've put this verse down on this tune. Sure. And then first person that I thought of, I was like, this needs Northern Boy in it. This needs JXK in it. So I've jumped outside the studio, sparked a cigarette up, I've gone, right, bro, I said, what you saying about the thing? Is like, I don't right know what I'm doing, my music and that at a minute. I says, right, bro, I'm going to send you this, I need you on this rhythm. This is...
all of a sudden, snap, inspiration, you've inspired your boy now.
Yeah, he's like, send it me through, I'll have a listen to it. So I've got a link, I've sent it in through and that, then he's come back to me, he's like, bro, what the fuck? He's like, do you know what I mean? He's like, bro, do you know what I mean?
You kind of want that kind of response from your fellow artists, though, don't you?
Yeah, like, because I planned it out in my head, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I know who needs to be on this, and I know what, do you know what I mean? I need Northern Boy on this. So yeah, I've sent him over on that, and then we've got a tune together. Basically, it's based on pretty much, we could say it's like close to home. Do you know what I mean? It's based on true events and whatever. It's based on a true person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, you can absolutely tell that when you hear the song. Like, you can tell it comes from a real place.
Because it's like, yeah, early stages of our relationship. Like, I used to, you know what I mean? I'd go to studio, I'd come back late, come back drunk. You know what I mean? Just kick off. Yeah, come on.
As we all do when we're young and inexperienced and whatever.
Go out, get drunk, come back. Do you know what I mean? You gotta leave. You know what I mean? It was like, you know, peaks and troughs, swings and roundabouts. But yeah, no, it was just literally. It didn't take me long to write, and it was just like it was just so easy to write because it was just true, and I think it's relatable to a lot of people. And I thought, you know 100%. What? I don't want to talk about depressing shit. I don't want to. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to talk about. I have to say something so people will validate me in a certain way. I'm just gonna just make this little funky.
Yeah. No, I got that vibe 100% because I mean, like sometimes depressing music is I think it's cathartic and sometimes you need that. And no disrespect to someone like Lil Peep, for example. I think his stuff is I think that connected to a lot of people on an emotional level. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. But
he's dead in it.
R.I.P. But for me personally with Peep, I always found his stuff. I want to say like depressing for the sake of being depressing. And I understand why people like it and it appeals to a certain audience. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at X, for example. Like
X R.I.P. my man.
Yeah, mate, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Big inspiration to this podcast for sure. But with him, yes, there's certain songs where he touches on certain depressing subject matter, but then there's also the uplifting side to X. It's not just that. It's not just depressing for the sake of being depressing. He also manages to capture that that uplifting nature, that enlightenment, and
he had them type of tunes, where it's like when you were depressed, you could listen to him. Do you know what I mean? It's like it was like, I don't know, he connected with me I connected with him differently or whatever, vice versa. But like there was just something about him as an artist that I found like proper interesting. It just is
absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, very interesting guy. Do you know what I mean?
100%. In terms of not just his music, but just sort of his legacy and the message that he left behind. But no, like purely on that, I can see that you wanted to. It just made me think of you in that respect, that you really wanted to strike that balance. Like you want to touch on deeper subjects without it being too fucking miserable.
Yeah.
It to be.
It's like the birds left me. Do you know what I mean? I'm bare depressed. I want to fucking kill me, son. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like you wanted. It's not that you didn't want to capture that, but you wanted to capture the.
Because you
didn't want it to just be the end, and that's all that it is. Like there's a full circle in that tune. Like you sort of like accept by the end of the song, it's almost like you've accepted the loss, and you're moving on, and you're comfortable with yourself, and you can sort of allow her to like live her life, and
It's more like I saw in the hook. I'm like, I've done shit what you can never do. So it's like basically the hook is, it's kind of like, so I've been in this position before, like, why are you trying to leave me? I know that you want to stay with me. We're going round in circles. Like, we've been here a million times, this place. You know that I'm the guy for you, and you're for me. Regardless of how many times I fuck up or whatever, you know that we're going to come back together. So it's like, do you know what I mean? It's kind of like going through the emotions, like, oh, back in this place again.
Yeah.
Do you know?
and also, like, who are you kidding?
Yeah. Literally that.
Yeah. No, I think the way that you're able to just capture all of those feelings and all of those emotions in that song is like, it's just really clever.
That was the best part of my life for a bit.
Say what?
That was the best part of my life for a bit, trust me. I can definitely.
Well, when we're young and we're discovering feeling the touch of a woman for the first time, it's a magical thing for a young man in our position. The way that you're able to bring that full circle and capture that is really fascinating for sure. Not a lot of, like I was saying, a lot of artists would either go one way or the other, make something kind of sad and depressing, or something, flamboyant and like I get all the girls and whatever. Whereas you strike that balance really nicely. It's like, yes, I've got feelings, but I'm also I'm that guy. And I think that's a unique way to skin a cat. I'm not really like that before. But that contrasts wildly, vastly to your Hood's Hottest freestyle. You put across a completely different side of your persona on that song. It's probably your most lyrically dense track, and you sound much more aggressive on that song. Does that simply speak to your diversity as an artist, or rather a more real life expression of quite literal multiple personalities existing inside you at the same time? Or am I just overthinking that, or is it more just a case of like you wanted to do something different and get a different energy across in that tune?
No, I think you're right. It's like, obviously, I come up as everyone starts out and rap. Do you know what I mean? Well, if you're a rapper, you start out and rapping it. Do you know what I mean? So I think with that, a lot of that's based on what I was consuming at the time. So I'm around a lot of rappers, but I weren't like them type of rappers where there's a bar in there, like I'm not fucking with these part-time little coke dealers, because...
Yeah, that was what I was about to ask you next, yeah.
Because I weren't like them rappers, I weren't that type of rapper that's going to talk about flipping packs and, just, you know what I mean? And it's like, I can't fuck with any of these type of... I'm a musician, innit? Do you know what I mean? Me, like, in that bar itself, it's like, I'm a musician, it's like, I'm not no part-time trapper, do you know what I mean? Going off like I'm fucking Escobar, do you know what I mean? I think at time I got one of the lowest ever viewed Hood's Hottest, do you know what I mean? But I stood there, I put my chest out, do you know what I mean? This is me spitting, and I'm not jumping on no trend, I'm not talking about like fucking this and that.
But the fact that like that it was probably vastly different to like a lot of what was on that platform previously, has probably made that tune sort of age well with time, and people sort of come around to it more as time has gone on, I guess. Do you think did you feel an element of like you had to come across with that vibe and that energy because of the platform you were on?
Yeah, definitely. Like, but I think
it's like when you go on to Hood Totties, it's like you've got to bring your like.
Yeah, but it's in the track. I got it's all that like it's. I think that was my issue coming up as a rapper. It's like I'm like, you know what I mean. A lot of men are like, yeah, you're hard, but I think because I weren't following the trends or going about certain things, you know what I mean, what people were doing. I think that's what kind of like stopped me from going, and you know what I mean. So I would never, if I would have stayed doing rap like that, I wouldn't be out. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be anything, because just nobody wants to hear about
that idea of like you wanting to be different always. Like it's like that's cool, and you respect guys who do that.
Yeah.
But your lane is different. Your path is different.
Yeah, it's like for me, it's like I don't really like making. That was just a stage. That was first, you know what I mean? That was a stage in my career. I don't really like making rap tunes anymore. It's like, for me, it's like, I love rap. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, I don't really feel comfortable jumping on set rap beats and stuff, because it's like, this isn't me. I know, like, you know what I mean?
You fully see yourself more as we described earlier, a songwriter.
Yeah.
Rather than just an MC.
Yeah, exactly that. And it's like, I think I've got a lot more to offer than that. And I just think, like, I don't know, there's certain things that suit you and certain things that don't, innit? Do you know what I mean? I can jump on a beat, it might sound hard. Someone can pay for a feature off me, do you know what I mean? And I'll jump on any beat. Do you know what I mean? Like, but,
in the band, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's like, fucking hell, I jump on out.
Wrong. But it's like for your personal stuff that you want to put out, you want to come with like a different energy that's maybe, you've got it in your locker, you can do it, but it's not necessarily what you want to do all the time or forever.
I'm a bit like, if you compare me to a UK artist, even though I know he got cancelled and stuff, and you know what I mean, our last will say the same thing, but Octavian.
Oh, wow, of course, yeah.
He this guy, like, it's what I used to like admire about this guy. It's like, I know there's like controversy behind his name and whatever, but
well, you can separate like the music from the artist. We can talk about him from musically, just a purely music standpoint, without like necessarily endorsing the individual person or whatever. Yeah.
But if you like hear how different he come on every single track, do you know what I mean? And I fuck with that. Like, that's what I like about artists. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think like there's a lot of artists nowadays just like one trick ponies. And it's just like, it's just fast food music. It's like buying a fucking Big Mac. Do you know what I mean? A Big Mac, it's been, do you know what I mean? It's just...
It's been there, done it.
Yeah, literally. And it's like, McDonald's bring a different menu out, but it's all the same shit.
Processed garbage.
Yeah, literally.
All right, let's talk about H. Obviously, it's difficult coming up as a white MC without taking influence from H, being compared to him. I can hear that to an extent with your cadence and your delivery, but I found it quite interesting in the sense that you actually referenced and acknowledged this. You referenced it in the Hood Totties freestyles we touched on a moment ago. You said, I had to make a change because I was too H. That being said, my question to you is, how do you walk that fine line between taking influence from someone like H whilst also distinguishing yourself from him as unique and being very much your own man, like I said? And does it purely come down to the type of attitude or persona you want to get across in your music? Also, do these comparisons bother you at all? Does it kind of like piss you off a little bit? Like, comparing me to H sort of thing. Like, I'm sure you've heard it all before. You acknowledge it in the song,
Yeah, I mean, when I was coming up, literally, I was like, it sounds like H. You know what I mean? That's all I got. But kind of hit the wave, and I thought, you know what? And I'm not gonna lie, like, obviously, because you were popping at the time, I would.
He said with respect.
Yeah.
You obviously got to respect him for what he does, but
there was no one else.
Sorry, go on.
There was no one else really like me. Do you know what I mean? It's like he was the closest guy really that. You listen to drill artists and that, you know what I mean, and they all sound the same. And it's like you kind of see what he's doing. It's working for him. So let's, you know what I mean, kind of jump on some of the beats to him. And then I thought, like, I got fed up eventually because people were just like, oh, you just sound like H. Do you know what I mean? And it was like,
it's just like God, isn't it? Like,
yeah, it did used to piss me off, and it was just like, cause I'm like not like him. But then he started doing different things. Like, look at my Doghouse tune, that hook, yeah. Like,
you can't really imagine someone like H doing something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that,
you know what I mean? It's like no disrespect to H, but go sing a fucking indie hook. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
And also just the sort of the vibe and the persona. Like I feel as though maybe barring that song he did with Ed Sheeran, where he kind of sort of maybe showed a different side of himself. I feel as though he maybe puts a pressure on himself to always be that persona, that guy, that sort of like pseudo bad man kind of thing. Whereas like you can sort of separate yourself from that, put the ego aside and go, no, I am going to be vulnerable on a song and, showcase a different emotional content to what someone like H would ever maybe be capable of doing.
I think, you know what though, to be fair, I think like H will eventually be like a guy that will start releasing a lot more like, because he's done it, he's had he's made his peace, you know what I mean? He's like, and he can now just start releasing music about, you know what I mean, about how he actually feels and shit like that, and it's like, and I get it. It's
so
like,
you think that will come?
Yeah, definitely. Like, and I, like, you know what I mean. I respect H as an artist. It is hard. Like me and H are both hard. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'd love to be on a chat with H. I can tell you now, I'm harder than Hardy. Like, you know what I mean?
That takes like you just come in here, put your big willy on the table, like
way harder than Hardy, and I think
here are my bollocks. Behold. Like,
no,
I like it, man.
No disrespect to him, like, you know what I mean. I'd bar both. I'd out, but you know what I mean. If it come to like big bad thing, if it come to a clash, yeah, I'd smoke both of them. Like I would.
Like you've got to be confident going on here and saying that, fam. Like,
no, I would.
But I do. I respect it. I respect the confidence.
Smoke both of them.
Rap's competitive.
But I respect them both as artists, but for me, it's so like H is for Mania, just like obviously Bugs and Malone's one of my idols, like, do you know what I mean? And H is for Mania, so it's Northern, so it's close to home for me, just like his fucking tape. But we're close to home, it'll call, I can't remember.
With obviously with like Manchester, like you mentioned Bugsy Malone a minute ago. Again, don't have anything written down about this, but you mentioned he was a big influence.
Yeah.
Again, it's hard coming up in the north, especially as an MC, not to take it.
We never had no one north. Yeah, we never north never had nobody, like, do you know what I mean, like, who come through and just absolutely, and then we had Bugs and Malone that were clashing, like, so these times it must have been about 2014-15 when it were clashing Chip, and it's just like, you support your local, do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I used to love Chip.
Like obviously like London's very much a hotbed for
it's
like
its own country,
music.
innit? Do you know what I mean? Like London's completely different to North. Like it's miles away. Do you know what I mean?
Even though like we relate to it to an extent, culturally it is different. Like my first girlfriend lived in London, so I spent a lot of time down there, and I do love certain aspects of what they've got going on down there. But I feel as though in the North, we don't relate to it in the same way as what they do down there. Whereas someone like Bugsy, we up north, we really relate to that, like more relative to like our experience coming up here.
You've got someone saying you get me. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like,
in it, and like that aspect of when he was first coming out. I remember Stormzy was coming out at like a similar time. And people was like, for a long time, they were sort of on the same kind of level. People saw him as like the northern equivalent of Stormzy, which he still is in a lot of ways.
Bugsy Malone, in my opinion, he smashes Stormzy out of water. Like he smashes any.
Well, they're both unique. Come on, they're both unique generational talents in a sense, you know.
Stormzy, like, for me, I'm a Bugsy guy. Do you know what I mean? Like for me, like Bugsy. Look at what Bugsy Malone's doing. Like, do you know what I mean? Like he's literally a rapper from North. He had no London backing. He got the London backing. He's now got his own fragrance. He's been selling.
I suppose Bugsy's had to do it the harder way.
Definitely.
He's had a harder route to get there than
it's like kind of like how do I explain it? Like it's like imagine like a football club, yeah, that's like won the league. But they won the league without like a financial backing, and they've
Leicester
had to.
City.
Do you know what I mean? Coming up, yeah, exactly that. Like Leicester City, like you know what I mean. Just come up, you know what I mean. Got about his shit, gone on there, like you know what I mean, and won it.
Not really giving a fuck about all of the sort of preconceptions of being a northern rapper and all of that stuff.
Yeah, but it's just like it might like now I like you know what I mean. He made an album called Be Inspired, and it's like, do you know what, Bugsy Malone for me, it's just like fucking hell. It's like I'm gonna do what you did. Do you know what I mean?
can see you as a big inspiration for you, and and people often go back to that comparison. Obviously, Stormzy does a lot of the sort of like gospel influences and has done, sort of like matured his sound in a lot of ways. But Bugsy's got that in his locker as well, 100%. Like he's got a lot of sophisticated artistic shit as well as the grime side.
Listen to Bugsy Malone's old stuff, man. Like hip hop, heavy metal, Nightmares, Childhood Memories. These are all like tunes what a lot of his fans now won't even know about, and these are tunes what I'm listening to. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like there's so much depth and meaning behind the tunes. Do you know what I mean? It's
100%. No, he's definitely a big voice for us up here, and I can see why you feel like that for sure. Just quickly as well, I asked you if I could ask you about this, but you've got tattoos there. Like, what's the story behind those, and where did the sort of body art inspiration come from?
Yeah, I just wanted a tattoo. Linked up with a tattoo artist from Woodhouse, and I never had a tattoo before in my life. Basically, my arm sets me back a lot of money, and I've not got it finished off yet. And it got to a certain point where I thought, you know what, fuck this, I can't be asked to keep paying money for my arm. So yeah, basically,
you'll get there eventually.
There's no obviously I've got Yorkshire Rose up here, and then it's quite depressing to be fair. Like my arm's I've got Medusa in my bicep.
That's
here.
cool. That's very.
Yeah, it's got the lion on the tiger, underneath in the armpit. But yeah, basically, I just said to the tattoo artist, do whatever you want. just
I got this cool picture of Medusa.
I'm just like, just go wild, like, you know what I mean.
So it wasn't something that you got into naturally, maybe, but it was just a spontaneous decision one day. You realised, this is kind of cool. I'm going to start adding more to this.
Yeah, just do it. But whatever you want to do on my arm, you do it. Give me a prize.
My body is your
literally, just do something sick in it.
I think it sort of gives that. I think obviously I feel as though aesthetic is becoming less and less important in music. I suppose like you've got artists like SL, Chinks OS, like people like this who LD. They'll wear the mask because it's kind of I don't want to harp on about Doom too much, but you sort of set that idea in motion of the
unknown.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter what it looks like, it's about what it sounds like.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good thing to an extent. Like you don't need to be even outside of rap. If you're like a female singer, back in the day, you have to be like Madonna or Rihanna, like some absolutely gorgeous woman. And nowadays, it's not. You don't necessarily need that to get by if it sounds good. Same with like guys, it matters less and less. However, I still think it speaks to something that you've got to have some appearance-based aspect that does make you unique and stand out, and I feel as though that is something for you, I guess, the body art, the tattoos,
Yeah, I mean, maybe...
Not that you've got like face tattoos or anything like that, but, it does give that kind of, that added flair,
Yeah, I mean, I probably will add to it eventually, but for the time being, it's just like, it's long when you sat there in them sittings. It's like, I've spent hours on this arm, it costs a lot of money, and it's just sat there, and for me, it's more an annoying pain. It's not like it's a frustrating pain. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like where you sat there and it's like, fucking annoying me, I want to hit you. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, I mean, I do want to get it finished off eventually, and I'll probably leave it at that. And I think for me, it was just kind of like a period in my life where, you know what, this is cool. Let's do this.
Yeah, and then there's a piece of you that will always sort of throw you back to that time.
Trust me, it's like I've got fucking rent to pay for and that now. I can't afford to be.
When you get older, there's different priorities, isn't there, for sure.
Definitely.
But yeah, like talk to me just before we wrap this up. Talk to me about any upcoming projects you're working on, and when can people expect them to be released? What's the next venture, the next mountain to climb, I guess?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a bit like obviously Rockstar Games franchise. If you look at them, when they make a project, they brought out GTA 5. They'd already started making GTA 6. Do you know what I mean? They bring out GTA 4. They'd already started making GTA 5. So that's kind of like me. So I've got a project there. I'll drop a project. The video's done, and I've already got the next track loaded. I'm already shooting video for the next one. It's just about getting a budget together. Obviously, I don't have a management. I don't have no label. I do everything myself.
We'll come back to the projects you've got lined up in a minute. But that being an independent, how have you found navigating that world, sort of like managing yourself, I guess?
Annoying when it comes to getting paid. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to...
Really? I just thought there'd be like less middlemen involved, I guess.
No, but it's you having to deal with it directly with people, innit? So it's obviously, I manage myself, you know what I mean? It's... Or annoying when it comes to...
Can't deal with some annoying industry people.
Yeah, and it's just obviously having to... It's before I used to have management where it's like I'd have somebody saying, mate, we need this posting today, they do all my socials, so they'd be on my social media. Whereas now it's like me, I'm doing it myself, and it's kind of like I've just spent better time fucking watching watching YouTube videos and how to do TikTok and stuff, because obviously that's all new to me as well.
Yeah,
but
it's one of the things you've got to get your head around it, and it's useful having those skills. But like, I know what you mean. It's the kind of thing I need need to work on a little bit, just like really going hard on the promotion side of things, you know. Yeah, I think it can be hard when you're doing it all yourself, I guess. But yeah, going back to the projects you've got coming up, it sounds as though you really like to have all the pieces in place before you show anybody anything, you know. And then obviously you've got the next one in the lines while this one's already coming out. What have you got a title for the upcoming project, or what can people look out for?
I don't want to say too much, but obviously before the end of the year there's going to be definitely a couple of things, various different things. But I'm literally, because I had a good 2-year break where I was making music but not releasing music, and me and Damo, my guy, we literally went through an archive of tracks that we've been making for about 5 years. And we were going through things and just put like, right, that shit, that's good, we could go back to that. Do you know what I mean? And we've just going through...
Cutting the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson.
And I think we sat there on must have been about 13 tracks there that are, you know what I mean? And that's without all this new stuff that I'm making as well. So I'm thinking, come 2025, my birthday, Valentine's Day, I think we're looking at dropping a debut album, man. That's
quite apt that it's coming out on Valentine's Day as well.
And it's on a Friday.
The love EP, you know, like something for the ladies, man. I love it. But yeah, that's all good. I'm sure the fans will be excited to hear that you've got irons in the fire and stuff coming out soon. Long term, then, the long term vision. Where are you hoping your career takes you next from here? And also, do you want to tell the people where they can find you online? Yeah,
I mean, I think acting. I think I want to get.
That's a complete tangent.
Yeah. I think obviously I've run my music for a bit. I've always said get to about. I don't know. She got people like DWE and things that are still going in there in the 40s. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, I'll always do music, but I think for me, definitely when I get a bit, I've always wanted to get into acting. So I think maybe try and get down that route, learn.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's totally different.
Yeah, I've still got my business. Probably set up a few more businesses, make my bread, sell them.
So you kind of want multiple avenues. You don't just want to be tied down to one specific thing.
Yeah, I just want my things in pies. As long as if I can retire at what? You know what I mean? 40.
That's ambitious, but you're not the first guy that I've heard say that, to be fair. Yeah, where can people find you, bro?
Yeah, at Surtees 13 everywhere. At Surtees_13, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Doghouse out now as well.
You heard it here first, guys.
All tight the Bunker Studio.
My friend, it has been an absolute pleasure.
My first ever interview as well, you know. First ever interview.
Yeah, man. Well, this is what we're about, man. We want to find talented guys like yourself and give them a platform. I forgot to mention actually the live session. We've just recorded a live session. We're not sure what order it's going to be released yet. The live session might be out already, but if it's not, stay tuned for the live session. That's going to be coming soon. It is
one take as well.
One take. And I was there. I can verify that it was very much one take. It's fire. It's hard. So go check that. Go pre that. But yeah, other than that, Surtees, it's been a pleasure, my guy.
Love, bro.
Love, my dude. But yeah, that was the Bunker Podcast. Back again for another episode. Hopefully we're going to be back again soon with some more exciting guests. But for now, drop us a like and a subscribe and stay tuned. We'll stay tuned. Stay tuned, and we will catch you on the other side. Peace, people.